Hey everyone, welcome back to Epic Quotes, your go-to channel for exploring the most influential figures in history and the powerful lessons they've left behind. In today's video, we're diving into the life of one of the most iconic and polarizing leaders of the 20th century, Margaret Thatcher. From her rise in British politics to her lasting legacy, we'll uncover key lessons that can inspire you in your own journey. Let's get started. Margaret Thatcher was born on October 13, 1925, in Grantham, Lincolnshire, into a modest working-class family. Her father, Alfred Roberts, was a grocer and a local councillor, with strong political beliefs, while her mother, Beatrice, was a devout Christian with a passion for self-reliance and discipline. Growing up in such a disciplined, hard-working environment, Margaret was taught the importance of both education and perseverance. Her father's influence was particularly significant in shaping her early views. Alfred was a firm believer in individual responsibility and the importance of public service, which would later become cornerstones of Margaret's own political philosophy. He often encouraged her to stand up for herself and embrace hard work, ensuring that she never relied on handouts or sympathy. This early exposure to politics laid the groundwork for her later success. From a young age, Thatcher excelled academically. Her love for learning, particularly in the sciences, led her to study chemistry at Oxford University, where she earned a degree. But her true passion was politics, and while at Oxford, she became involved in the Conservative Association, learning the skills of political discourse that would serve her well in later years. It was during this time that she began to develop the ideological framework that would characterize her leadership in the years ahead. She admired Winston Churchill's speeches, which would later influence her bold approach to leadership. After completing her studies, Thatcher worked as a research chemist, but she quickly realized that her ambitions lay in public service. In 1959, after several unsuccessful attempts, she was finally elected Member of Parliament for Finchley. Thatcher faced considerable challenges in a male-dominated political world, but her intellectual rigor, determination, and ability to connect with voters helped her overcome these barriers. Margaret's early life highlights the importance of laying a solid foundation for success. Her upbringing taught her the value of hard work, self-reliance, and discipline, values that helped her navigate the tough road ahead. No matter your field or passion, starting with a strong foundation built on education, integrity, and resilience is key. Every success is built on the groundwork of your early decisions and actions. In 1975, Margaret Thatcher became the leader of the Conservative Party. At the time, Britain was struggling with high inflation, economic stagnation, and an unemployment crisis. The economy was burdened by inefficient state-run industries, high taxes, and rising union power. Most of the political establishment favored government intervention, but Thatcher believed the solution was quite the opposite. In 1979, after years of building her political platform, Thatcher became the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. Upon taking office, she immediately confronted the severe economic challenges that had been mounting for years. Thatcher believed in the power of individual initiative and the free market. She argued that the state's involvement in the economy was stifling Britain's potential. Her bold vision was to cut taxes, reduce public sector spending, privatize state-owned industries, and restrict the influence of powerful trade unions. Thatcher's policies were not only radical but also highly controversial. Her commitment to free market principles and austerity measures was met with fierce resistance from opposition parties, unions, and even some within her own Conservative Party. Despite this, Thatcher stood firm in her beliefs, pushing forward with her agenda. She took bold steps like denationalizing key industries, reducing the welfare state, and implementing strict measures to curb inflation. Her decisions caused widespread protests, but over time, the economic results began to speak for themselves. The British economy started to recover, inflation fell, and unemployment began to drop. Though the social costs of her policies were significant, the long-term economic growth that followed solidified her place in history. One of the greatest lessons we can learn from Thatcher's rise to power is the importance of staying true to your convictions. She faced intense criticism and opposition, but she didn't compromise on her vision for Britain. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a student, or in a leadership role, sticking to your principles, even in the face of adversity, is crucial. It's easy to be swayed by public opinion or short-term obstacles, but long-term success often comes to those who follow through on their vision, no matter how tough the journey. In 1982, Margaret Thatcher faced one of the most defining moments of her premiership. The Falkland Islands, a British overseas territory, were invaded by Argentina. The Falklands were far from Britain, and the war seemed unlikely at first. Many critics believed Thatcher would negotiate a peaceful resolution or abandon the islands. But Thatcher refused to back down. She made the bold decision to send British forces to reclaim the islands. The military campaign was risky, and the odds were against Britain. The conflict lasted several months, and the British military had to fight in one of the most challenging environments imaginable, the South Atlantic, thousands of miles from home. But Thatcher's leadership was unwavering. Her determination and clarity of purpose inspired the nation, and the British forces ultimately triumphed, reclaiming the Falklands. The Falklands War solidified Thatcher's reputation as a strong and decisive leader. It demonstrated her willingness to take risks and her commitment to protecting British sovereignty, even in the face of considerable opposition. The victory boosted her popularity, and her leadership was viewed by many as a symbol of British resilience. The Falklands War is a powerful reminder that leadership is often defined by the actions you take in a crisis. Margaret Thatcher didn't hesitate to make the difficult decisions when her country's sovereignty was threatened. In our own lives, we will all face moments of uncertainty or challenge. The key is to take decisive action when it matters most. Don't be afraid to face difficult situations head-on. Sometimes the toughest decisions lead to the greatest outcomes. Thatcher served as Prime Minister for over 11 years, leaving a legacy that still shapes Britain and the world today. Her policies radically changed the UK's economy, moving it from state-run industries to a more market-driven, privatized economy. Under her leadership, industries such as British Airways, British Telecom, and British Gas were privatized, and she introduced policies that promoted individual entrepreneurship and reduced the power of labor unions. Though these policies were controversial and resulted in significant social upheaval, they eventually led to increased economic growth, lower inflation, and a more competitive economy. On the global stage, Margaret Thatcher was a staunch ally of U.S. President Ronald Reagan, and together they played a key role in opposing the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Thatcher was not just a leader of Britain, she became a leading figure in global politics. She was a powerful voice in shaping the NATO alliance, and her policies promoted the spread of democratic ideals and free market capitalism across Europe. Her foreign policy successes also included her tough stance in negotiating with Europe over Britain's relationship with the European Union. Thatcher firmly believed in national sovereignty and was unafraid to challenge the EU on what she saw as its overreach into British affairs. While her time as Prime Minister was marked by intense debates over her policies, her influence on both Britain and the world cannot be overstated. Margaret Thatcher didn't wait for others to define her legacy. She created it through her bold actions, unyielding principles, and commitment to change. Whatever your field, Business, politics, education, your legacy will be shaped by your choices and the actions you take. The lesson here is clear. Don't wait for others to dictate your path. Take control of your story, shape your legacy, and leave a lasting impact on the world. Margaret Thatcher's life is a testament to the power of determination, conviction, and bold leadership. From her humble beginnings to becoming the longest-serving British Prime Minister of the 20th century, she faced immense challenges and opposition. But through it all, she remained true to her beliefs and pursued her vision for Britain with unrelenting tenacity. Her legacy reminds us that leadership is not about popularity, but about making tough decisions, standing firm in your values, and taking action when needed. Thank you for watching this episode of Epic Quotes. If you enjoyed learning about the life and legacy of Margaret Thatcher, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think of her leadership? What lessons from her life do you think are most relevant today? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, stay inspired, stay determined, and keep chasing your own greatness.